It's my great pleasure to welcome Reverend Paul Johnson, who will be speaking with us on a Unitarian Universalist Christmas.
When I first became a Unitarian Universalist many years ago, I wondered if I was going to have to give up a celebration of Christmas because I no longer believe in the traditional doctrine of incarnation, that Jesus was God in flesh. I soon found out that Unitarian Universalists celebrate Christmas as they do the other festivals like Hanukkah and the Diwali and the Kwanzaa and so forth. But it wasn't so that Christmas was celebrated for the band by anybody in this country, particularly in New England. For the first 2 centuries of white settlement in New England, very few people celebrated Christmas. It was suppressed by the Puritans. And it was actually illegal by payment of fine to celebrate Christmas in Massachusetts from 1659 to 1681. Can you imagine that? Well, what did the Puritans have against Christmas? Well, first of all, they said there's no biblical record or historical record that Jesus was born on December 25th. We don't know when he was born. But then they said it was just a pagan celebration of the winter solstice with a Christian veneer upon it. Popish customs had come to rule Christendom, and they wanted nothing to do. And of course, it wasn't only that, but in England, it had been time they set up debauchery. Rowdy public displays, excessive drinking, there was a lot of gambling, mocking of established authority, aggressive begging, waffling, and even invasion of wealthy homes. And they wanted nothing to do with it. Not a matter of Puritan, as you said, the Feast of Christ's Nativity is spent in reveling, dancing, partying, masking, and in all licentious liberty. By mad mirth, by long eating, by hard drinking, and lewd gaming, by rude. Charlie, their son, and his friends were kept in another part of the house by Paul's wife. And he went and he lit all those candles and then threw open the doors, and then all the children came there, Charlie and his friends. And Martineau writes, their faces were upturned to the blaze. To me, it seemed like it must have been kind of a dangerous place. But all eyes were open, all lips parted, all steps arrested. Nobody spoke, only little Charlie jumped for joy. She concluded her account by predicting that the Christmas tree ritual would become a popular American custom, and how right she was. And her book was widely read both in this country and in England. And the Christmas tree custom was also featured by 2 other Unitarian authors who were among the most popular in American culture at the time, Kenneth Sedgwick and Lydia Marie Child. And in their stories, children were seen as being appreciative of the gifts and the joys of Christmas and making presents for each other and for their parents. Now, it's important to know that the Unitarians had chosen the Calvinist doctrine of original sin, which held that children were naturally selfish and evil. And they had to be beat out of the basically. But the Unitarians believed that there were natural impulses for generosity in their children that could be encouraged, particularly at Christmas time. And this theme is evident for those of you who read Louisa May Alcott's Little Women. The opening sentence of that work is, Christmas won't be Christmas without a present. And the family was impoverished because their father was off with the Union Army as a chaplain. But the girls and the family, the March girls, determined that they were going to make presents for their mother, even though there were no presents for them. And of course, on Christmas morning, they donated their special Christmas breakfast that they'd been so looking forward to an impoverished immigrant family. And then, of course, Unitarian Charles Dickens wrote the most well-known of all Christmas stories, A Christmas Carol, in 1843. That was the year that he became Unitarian in the little Portland church in London. And so he shows us Scrooge, that's Skinflint, who became a philanthropist. And Charles Dickens wrote, "May Christmas be once more a kind, forgiving, charitable, pleasant time. May we keep our Christmas humor to the last. It is required of everyone that the spirit within us should walk abroad among our human neighbors and travel far and wide. It is required by our joyful allegiance to the spirit of Jesus, the spirit sustained by the best in humanity ever since this day. Not Jesus as God or as the incarnation, but God as a moral exemplar, a joyous moral exemplar for all of us. And then, of course, the whole custom of Santa Claus has Washington Irving and Clement Ford, his Night Before Christmas, who did what? You know that the popular visions of Jesus, what he actually looked like, was provided by Unitarian. How was that? Who over the course of many years, 32 years to be exact, had an annual cartoon of Santa in Harper's Weekly. Now, some of our best loved Christmas carols have a Unitarian connection. I think my favorite is I Heard the Bells on Christmas Day, which was written in 1863 by one of course, our most famous poets in this country, Henry Wadsworth Longfellow, who wrote this at a very, very difficult time for him. His son Charles had been wounded as a soldier in the Civil War, and he was nursing his son back to health and visiting other families in the Boston area who had sons who had been injured and killed in the war. And in 1863, on Christmas Day, he heard the bells ring, and this poem came to him. I'm going to ask that Kristin and Diana share with us all three verses you see this morning. There are more verses, but these are the three that share, which show his despair, but then his abiding hope. You know that All Holy Night, Petite de Noël, has a Unitarian connection. It was written by Placide Cappeau, who was a wine merchant in a small French town. He'd been asked by his parish priest to compose a poem for Christmas, and he composed Petite de Noël and All Holy Night, and it was well received. But after that particular Christmas, Cappeau asked his Jewish composer who composed the Ballet Giselle. He asked his friend to put the words to music. And it's found its place, of course, midnight mass through Catholic churches all over France, and eventually, of course, the Protestant churches as well. But the Pope turned away from the church and became part of the socialist movement. And when church leaders found out that the composer of the tune was Jewish, what? Now it's resurrected in Catholic churches since. Now, for many years, I watched when we were on Long Island and when we were in Princeton, I watched every year midnight mass from St. Patrick's, and this was featured, of course, as part of the mass. So it's been resurrected in Catholic churches, but they had a tough time with it for a while. Now, the next part of the story takes place in the United States. The song was noted by a Unitarian minister, John Sullivan Dwight. Dwight was a Harvard grad who went out to his first congregation after graduation from Harvard for Northampton, Massachusetts. The only problem was, every time he got up to give a sermon, he became physically ill. And that's tough. How long you can stand the question. So he left the ministry and he was very skilled as a musician, and he developed White's Journal of Music, which became, the standard for the most gifted musicians and music lovers in the language. But he found a song and he translated it from French to English and sang it abroad, and it became very, very popular in this country. White particularly liked the verse, where Jesus said, or where it said, "Truly he taught us to love one another. His laws, love, and his gospel and life. Changed some who break from the slave to their brother." He was an ardent abolitionist. But so we have, I believe, at least the first stanza of "O Holy Night."
Holy night, the stars are brightly shining. It is the night our dear Savior's birth. Long lay the world in sin and pining, till He appeared at the song of His word. How thrill our hope, the weary world rejoices, for yonder breaks some new and glorious morn.
Oh, wow. It came upon a midnight clear, has a Unitarian Universalist background as well. 1849 was a time of revolution and counter-revolution in Europe. Very, very difficult time there. In the United States, many religious liberals were ashamed that we had invaded Mexico. It was believed to be a land grab, of course, to extend slavery. The world seemed divided in the Christmas season felt late and cold, and the Unitarian minister by the name of Reverend Lunt was searching for a hymn to give hope and faith in that bleak Christmas season. So he called upon his colleague, the Reverend Edmund Hamilton Sears, who was a writer of hymns, to write a hymn like that, which he did. Sears wanted to write about the suffering of the world because of our war and strife, and if only people would hear the angels and see the Holy Child, peace on earth would not be just a dream, but would ultimately become a reality. It came upon the midnight clear. Do you know that Jingle Bells was written by a Unitarian?
Yeah,
How many of you knew that?
I learned it recently.
Yeah, James Pierpont, who was the son of John Pierpont, minister in Medford, Massachusetts. And this week when I was researching this, I came upon a real controversy between Medford, Mass. And Savannah, Georgia. Medford, Mass. has a plaque that this is where Jingle Bells was composed in 1850 by James Pierpont. Savannah, Georgia has a plaque that says this is where James Pierpont composed the song Jingle Bells in 1857. Civil War. Oh, yes, Civil War. And I wasn't, who was right, but the people of Medford say, well, John Pierpont, the minister, said to his son, I should write a song for Thanksgiving. Yeah. And he wrote this song for Thanksgiving, not even for Christmas, but it was liked so much that they sang it again for Christmas. He had had the experience of being out in one horse sleigh, and he wrote the song. Now we know it wasn't published in 1857. He didn't send it to music publisher until 1857. But Medford said he did it earlier in our community in Savannah. So regardless of where it was found, let's sing together Jingle Bells.
Hey! Woo! Hey!
Thank you so much for our music and for leading the service, Pat, and for all of you for sharing your Christmas memories and enthusiasms. And I leave you with these words from my ministerial colleague, Kenneth Pfeiffer, who for many years was the minister of our congregation, of one of our congregations in Michigan. May the love of this season be with you through all the days of the year and give you strength and courage and faith. May the peace of this season be ever in you and bring you comfort and hope. May the light of this season shine in your heart and bring you happiness and laughter. May the joy that is in you be shared with others. So may it be. Amen.
Amen.